Hello, hello, happy Wednesday. I decided to read for you today one of my favorite books. It might have been a book I've read to you before if you've been in my class before, and it may not have. But before we start, you might want to guess where I am right now. Am I inside or outside? I'm outside, that's right. We are hanging out on the porch right now because it is so beautiful outside. And because of all the coronas, we can't leave the house. So we are on our porch, watching the cars go by and the trucks and just hanging out here. So hopefully this little girl will cooperate a little bit better than yesterday and y'all will be able to hear my story a little better. She has a little alligator on this thing that plays music. She likes to play the piano for us, so she may be playing the piano during part of our story. And if that's the case, then so be it. Today we're going to read a story called Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. So you see this little gold circle here? That says the Caldecott Medal. That means that this book won an award for illustrations. Illustrations are the pictures in the book. So only the best books get these awards. So that already tells me that this book is going to be pretty good. Well, it's kind of long. Hopefully it won't be too long, and we might get distracted by some people walking and talking. There's somebody building a house across the street. If you can see through the roses. So there's people walking around, and that's okay. We'll say hello if we need to. So we have 2 vocabulary words today. We have the word what do you think that word is? That's a long word. I'll give you a minute to look at it. This word is extraordinary. Say it with me. Extraordinary. Now say it to Harper. Harper, can you say extraordinary? No, not yet. She's not wearing her hair bow today, so she probably looks a little different. Extraordinary is really, really special or noteworthy. For example, Edgar's chocolate cake is extraordinary. When I get on Instagram, they've started showing me ads of their cake saying, come buy our cake. We're still open. We're not closed. Come buy our cake. And every time I see that chocolate cake, I think, that cake looks extraordinary. Can you think of something that your mom cooks that is extraordinary? What is extraordinary about being home all day? What's really special about being home all day? Hopefully you've got some good answers for me. Extraordinary, really, really special. Our other word is, fell down, can't get it. I'll give you a minute to look at it. I used pink today. All right, so that E-A vowel team says E, and that E is silent at the end, so soft C sound says S, E, S, cease, cease. Anybody want to take a guess what cease means? Let me use it in a sentence and then maybe you can tell me. All of a sudden, the rain ceased and the sun came out. All of a sudden, the rain ceased and the sun came out. So if the rain ceases and the sun came out, then that must mean the rain did what? Stopped. You're right. It stopped. So cease means to stop. I wish this coronavirus quarantine would cease so we could leave the house. Is that funny? All right, everybody say cease. Now tell Harper what cease means. Did you hear that, Harper? What does cease mean? It means to stop. That's right. Extraordinary and cease. I'll show them to you one more time and then we're going to start our story because it is long. Extraordinary, cease. Extraordinary means really, really special. Cease means to stop. So when we get to those in the story, I want you to show me those fingers. Flicker, flicker, flicker. High, low, left, right, doesn't matter. But I want to see those fingers when you hear those words. Cease and extraordinary. All right, here we go. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oatsdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. Now, a pebble is a fancy word for a really small rock. You're right. So here are his pebbles. What an unusual hobby. I wonder if anybody listening collects rocks. That might be a fun activity for tomorrow. Go outside and collect some rocks like this Sylvester here. I had to think of his name. On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one. Oh, Harper's so excited to hear the word. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round like a marble. And as he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, probably with excitement, from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. I wish it would stop raining, he said. And to his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't gradually, as rains usually do. It ceased. Good job. What do you think, Harp? I think she hears a bird. The drops vanished on the way down. The clouds disappeared. Everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if the rain had never existed. That's odd. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble, where indeed it was. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground and said, "I wish it would rain again." Nothing happened, but when he said the same thing holding the pebble in his hoof, the sky turned black, there was lightning, a clap of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. What a lucky day this is, thought Sylvester. From now on, I can have anything I want. Usually stories where everybody gets everything they want don't turn out so good. Let's see. My mother and father can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, the wind got that one. Anybody at all can have anything anybody wants. He wished the sunshine back in the sky, and he wished a wart on his left hind fetlock would disappear. And it did, and he started home, eager to amaze his father and mother with his magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of some of the many, many things he could wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind some tall grass. He was frightened. That means he was really scared. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made the lion disappear, or he could have wished himself safe at home with his father and mother. He could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked and couldn't think carefully. Sometimes I don't think carefully when I'm panicked. I wish I were a rock, he said, and he became a rock. The lion came bounding over, sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around it, and went away, confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. I saw that little donkey as clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy, he muttered. And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with the magic pebble lying right beside him on the ground, and he was unable to pick it up. Oh, how I wish I were myself again, he thought. But nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried. Being helpless, he felt hopeless. He imagined all the possibilities and eventually realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find that red pebble and to wish that the rock next to it could be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny, but what on earth would make them wish that a rock were a donkey? The chance was 1 in a million at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came with many stars. Now, let's stop and think. There is a problem in this story, and it's a big one. The problem is, well, why don't you tell me? What's the problem? Yeah, Sylvester turned into a rock. And he can't turn back into a donkey. Why not? Yeah, he can't touch the rock. He can't touch the Magic Pebble anymore because he's a rock. Rocks don't have fingers. Boy, this is rough. Oh, let's see what the mom and dad think about this. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? They stayed up all night wondering what had happened, expecting that Sylvester would surely turn up by morning. But he didn't, of course. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed to have their dear son with them. "I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live," said Mrs. Duncan, "no matter what he does." They are very sad. And you know what? I think I would be sad too if Harper Girl turned into a rock. I would be doing the same thing. At dawn, they went about inquiring of all the neighbors. Now, you might not know what inquiring means, but you can look at the picture and tell that they're doing what? Yeah, they're asking the neighbors. Now, I don't know what the chickens or pigs are thinking about this, but it doesn't seem like they know where Sylvester is. They talked to all the children, the puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. So they went to the police, and the police could not find their child. All the dogs in Oatsdale went searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass, into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found not a scent of him. They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester. After a month of searching the same places over and over again and inquiring of the same animals over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened and that they would probably never see their son again, though all the time he was less than a mile away. Oh, poor Mama. They tried their best to be happy, to go about their usual ways, but their usual ways included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. Night followed day and day followed night over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy. He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Oh, goodness. Fall came with the leaves changing color, and then the leaves fell, and the grass bent to the ground. And then it was winter. Whew, we are moving through the seasons here. The winds blew this way and that. It snowed. Mostly the animals stayed indoors, living on the food they had stored up. One day, a wolf sat on the rock that was Sylvester and howled because he was hungry. Then the snow melted. The earth warmed up to the spring sun, and things budded. This is what the world looks like right now. Things are starting to bloom. My roses are starting to get there. They're looking a little rough right now. Leaves were on the trees again. Flowers showed their young faces. One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic. Oh, that sounds lovely. Let's cheer up, he said. Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us. So they went to Strawberry Hill. And would you look at that? Look at what they're sitting on. Mrs. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester. I'm right here." But he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was stone dumb. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Mrs. Duncan set out the picnic food on the rock. Alfalfa sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timothy compote. Don't ask me what any of that is. I have no idea. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble," he exclaimed. Sylvester would have loved it for his collection. He put the pebble on the rock. Hey, what do we know about this pebble? That's right, it's magic. they sat down to eat. Sylvester was now as wide awake as a donkey that was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. You know, Father, she said suddenly, I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away. I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't, because he was a rock. If only he had realized that the pebble was resting on his back was the magic pebble. Oh, how I wish he were here with us on this lovely May day, said Mrs. Duncan. Mr. Duncan looked sadly at the ground. Don't you wish it too, Father? She said. He looked at her as if to say, how can you ask such a question? Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other with great sorrow. I wish I were myself again. I wish I were my real self again, thought Sylvester, and in less than an instant, he was. You can imagine the scene that followed. The embraces, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, and the fond exclamations. When they had eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Someday they might want to use it, but really for now, what more could they wish for? They all had all they wanted. Read it with me. The end. So, I think we learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes you wish you could be magic and make anything happen, but it's not always the best thing. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Aladdin, how you have 3 wishes and then the wishes are gone. It's kind of like that. Sometimes when you have that kind of power, it's not so good. And that poor Sylvester was stuck as a rock for a long time, wasn't he? Long time. Seasons had passed. And, you know, when I think about the fact that I can't leave my house right now, and I think about how long I may be stuck here, I think about how long that could be, and I get really overwhelmed and scared and mad and sad and a lot of feelings. And it's okay to have those feelings, because this is a weird time, and I know y'all are ready to go back to school and see your friends and stuff, but so I definitely understand how Sylvester was feeling, because I kind of feel like that too. So just know that it's okay to have those feelings about what's going on right now in the world. It's okay to be mad or sad or frustrated or any of those things, but we can't live there, right? We can't live being sad all the time. We have to think about all of the good things in our life, like our families and our friends and our homes and our food. We have a lot of really awesome things, and even though we're stuck at home right now and it kind of stinks, we have a lot to be thankful for. So your homework tonight, you didn't know you were getting homework from me. Your homework tonight is to think about one thing that you're thankful for, one thing that you just couldn't live without, and you are just so glad you have. And tell your mom or dad, say, I'm thankful for, hey, maybe you're thankful for your mom or dad, or maybe you're thankful for your grandparents, and maybe your mom will let you give them a call tonight and tell them you love them, or maybe you're thankful for your teacher at school, or maybe you're thankful for a friend or a brother or sister. I'm thankful for my Harper girl on this beautiful day, and I'm thankful for this weather, because this weather is beautiful. But that's your homework. Find something that you're thankful for and tell somebody about it. Or tell me. Get your mom to post on my Facebook and say, hey, I want to tell Miss Mitchell that I'm thankful for. So one of my sweet students, Emmeline, hi Emmeline if you're watching, gave me some really awesome book suggestions. All of my books are in a closet right now, so I am trying to find the books that you requested. Some of them I have, I think some of them I don't. But I know I think I have at least one of the ones you suggested, so I'm going to try to find that book for you. But in the meantime, if anybody thinks of any other books they want me to read, let me know, and I'd be happy to read them. And let me know if you liked our video. Can you say bye-bye, Harper? Hey, bye-bye. We'll see you next time. Bye.